And we've had a question already in from our audience, so let's get that straight up on the screen because we love it when our audience sends us a question. There's actually two kind of built into one here, and I'm going to throw this to you, Alex, which was Miami Grand Prix. Was it just meh?
No, I mean the Grand Prix, the event was fantastic. The track, yeah. I mean, I think what it sounds like, it was a car park. What can you do in a car park? It was always going to be a bit tricky. I mean, they had the Mickey Mouse chicane, which was kind of surprising. They called it a Formula E chicane, and it definitely was. But, we do like a bit of variety, and it definitely had quite a bit of variety there. What was upsetting was, I think, the track surface, because it started breaking up quite easily, just ever so slightly. So offline, it got really dirty. And, we're always trying to make racing exciting, especially Formula One after 30 years of really poor racing because you can't follow a car. Proper efforts this year to try and make it easier to follow cars to follow each other. And, the tarmac disappointing because you couldn't race each other because you could go offline, you get slippery. So there was a lot of single file stuff, and anyone that did go offline a bit, you would get penalized big time. You'd have big problems. You talked about Bottas going offline and losing 2 places. It's really meant that you didn't get the racing you wanted. And for America, we need racing. We need side-by-side stuff. It needs to be exciting. And we saw that at Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia has a very similar layout to this track. Corners that feed into each other, filled with long straights. One massive straight, in fact, with a big DRS zone. And we had a lot of side-by-side stuff in Saudi Arabia. So that tarmac was just kind of right. And they need to replicate that here for Miami for next year, I think.
Juan, was that something the drivers talked to you about after the Grand Prix, about it being dirty offline? Was it an issue for them?
Yeah, they knew it beforehand, because I was talking with Daniel Ricciardo on Saturday, and he mentioned that if it's going to be a mess, everybody crashing each other, or a train, because if you go out of the line, it's impossible to overtake. And it was like a little train, DRS train also in some points. I think the cars are easier to follow now, but they're not easier to overtake. And one of the reasons is what Alex mentioned. If you go offline, it's very difficult to hang on over there. And we saw mistakes like Gasly also, with the incident with Lando. And going a little bit offline, you'll miss the apex, and you lose the time and maybe the position. But I think maybe they can arrange that. If it's a tarmac issue, they have time, they have the money to do it better for next year. But and Hamilton was he don't like that little chicane, and a lot of drivers mention it. Maybe they can also try to do something over there, because they have the space also, because you have to move the grandstands. It's like parking lot. It's nothing there. You can do a little bit of ranges. I don't know if they will do it, but I think they will do it because they learn from mistakes.
And if I may just add to that, what was quite interesting, Matt, if I just steal in there, is, at Saudi Arabia, what I really enjoyed about it was I really noticed that you could see the cars moving around a lot more. The cars are more difficult to drive at the peak. The suspensions aren't as sophisticated as they were last year. The cars seem to handle all the bumps and twists really easily. But you could see the car moving a lot in Miami, just like it was in Saudi Arabia. So when you saw the drivers pushing the limits, like when Verstappen was trying to defend from Leclerc, and he was getting really close to the barrier, and you could see him twitching and stuff, and you knew he was on the limit. Again, it was like watching the F3 cars at Macau again. And I'm just loving what this new generation of cars brought us, because when you see the drivers really at the limit, they're like this, and they're just fractions away from putting it in the wall.